The
Divine
address.
Encounter Part 2.
Outside the street of Lagos, early morning. The city was already alive, horns blaring, traders setting up, buses screeching to a halt as conductors yelled their destination. Bob stood in front of an old building in Ikeja, staring at the address written on the paper. The sign above read, Bright Future Foundation, a charity organization. Bob hesitated. Was this a joke? Why would a stranger send him here? Still, something told him to go inside. Inside Bright Future Foundation, reception area. The office smelled of paper and cheap air freshener. A woman behind the desk looked up and smiled. It was the receptionist. Good morning, sir. How can I help you? Bob cleared his throat. Bob replied, Oh, someone gave me this address. I don't really know why I'm here. The woman nodded as if she expected this. Receptionist. Mr. Olu is expecting you. Please, go in. Bob surprised. Expecting him. He pushed open the office door. Inside Olu's office, a man in his late 50s, bald with a neatly trimmed beard, sat behind a desk. His eyes lit up when he saw Bob. Olu smiled and said, You're finally here. Bob froze, then said, Do I know you? Olu smiled and gestured for him to sit. No. But I know you. Bob sat cautiously. Bob. I don't understand. Olu leaned forward and said, I know about the meals you paid for at the Booker, the school fees you helped settle for children that weren't yours, the little things you did when no one was watching. Bob's chest tightened. Bon. How do you know all that? Olu tapped his fingers on the desk. Olu. The man who sent you here, he used to be like you, always giving even when he had little. Then, one day, someone blessed him beyond his imagination, and he promised to do the same for others. Bob's heart pounded. Olu continued. That man was me. Silence. Then, Olu pushed a brown envelope across the table. Bob hesitated before picking it up. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside were documents, an offer letter, and a check. A check with more zeros than Bob had ever seen in his life. He looked up, speechless. Olu. Someone gave me a chance when I had nothing. Now, it's your turn. Tears welled up in Bob's eyes. Last night, he had begged God for help, and now, here he was. This was no coincidence. Sinf, a new beginning. Outside Lagos, day. Bob walked out of the office in a daze. The city, once so chaotic and overwhelming, seemed different now. The sun felt warmer, the noise quieter. The check in his hand wasn't just money, it was a second chance. But as he stepped onto the street, his thoughts began to race. Was he worthy of this? Could he truly make a difference with such a sudden change in his life? He glanced back at the building, Bright Future Foundation. It felt like a sign, like this was his opportunity to live out the very values he had always believed in. But his phone buzzed in his pocket, snapping him back to reality. It was Favor. Favor, text. Bob, I've been thinking. I'm sorry. I should have been there for you. Can we talk? He stopped walking, his heart tightening. He remembered the way she had pulled away, the tension in their conversations before, the distance that had grown between them. He stared at the text for a moment, then hit the reply button. Bob texted back. I'm ready to talk. He took a deep breath, then made his way to the bus stop. As he boarded the bus, the weight of the check in his pocket felt lighter. He wasn't just going to use this money for himself. He couldn't. Bob had learned long ago that the true worth of a gift was in how it was shared. Inside Favor's apartment, later that day, Favor opened the door, her face tired but hopeful. She stepped aside, letting Bob in. Favor started to say, I was wrong to leave you when you needed someone. I've been selfish. Bob looked at her, seeing the regret in her eyes. For a moment, all the pain they'd both been through hung heavy in the air. But Bob didn't want to dwell on the past. Bob replied, I've been thinking too. We've both made mistakes, but I believe there's more for us. For me. For you. For us. Together. Favor's eyes widened. Bob continued. I'm not the man I used to be, Favor. I have a chance now, not just for myself, but for us. For others. But I need you with me. Favor stepped closer, her voice shaky. Favor. What do you mean? Bob pulled out the check from his pocket and placed it in her hands. This isn't just money, Favor. It's a new beginning. And I want us to use it to help others. To build something good. Something real. She stared at the check, then back at him, her eyes filled with emotion. Favor asked. You want to give it all away? After everything you've been through, Bob answered calmly. I want to do more than just survive. I want to help people like I've always wanted to. I have to. Favor looked at him for a long time, then nodded slowly. I'm with you, Bob. Always. As they embraced, Bob's phone buzzed again. It was a message from Olu. Olu, text, read. Remember, Bob. The greatest wealth is the ability to change lives. Keep giving. Bob smiled to himself. He had learned that giving wasn't just about money, it was about changing lives, starting with his own. He had found love, and now, he had found his purpose.
Subscribe for more.